Hello guys, and we're back to my fixing series where today we will talk about how can we fix England. And not necessarily fixing England, but how can we get England back to this. This is what we want. This is what the goal is. Obviously, as an England fan, every England fan wants to see England win the World Cup. And this video is going to talk about, it's going to be two parts. We're going to talk about how England can get back to that. And today we're going to be looking at how other teams have got to that in the past. So we're looking at the past 5 winners of the World Cup and really how the journey they got on to get there. So I'm going to start with, to be very nice here, we're going to start with Italy. Italy, 2006. A crazy final, obviously, shrouded by the Zidane headbutt, and everyone remembers it for the Zidane headbutt. But this man who's holding the World Cup, his performance was unbelievable throughout that whole tournament. You really got to look at why was this team so strong together, and you got to look at the key parts in this team of what 4 of these players were playing all at Juve. The 2 central midfielders, the 2 core parts of the midfield, both playing together week in week out at AC Milan. Materazzi, who's been solid all season for Inter Milan. These two are the key figures here though. Pirlo and Gattuso. These are the 2 key figures, I would say. That the defence knew each other. The defence was solid with each other. The defence knew what was going on. But the midfield, that's where his spine is. That's where it's the strength in the team. And Pirlo and Gattuso, on either side of this World Cup, got to the Champions League final. One side they won it. One side they lost it on a freak. But they won it nonetheless. Obviously, Totti, a one-club man. Fair enough. Luca Toni was at Fiorentina at the time. Caminiti with Juve. Perotto was at Roma with Totti, to be fair. But as I said, this side of defence knowing each other at Juve, and then Pirlo and Gattuso being a strong partnership in the midfield, playing with each other week in, week out, was a core vital to it. And look, winning the Champions League together, that's important. That is so important to how the team needed to play, how the team was going to play. Is that these guys had won stuff together. That's what it was about. These guys had already won stuff together at club level. Then we move on to Spain. And Spain, once again, you can find the same like story again of they'd won the Champions League together. Like Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, that core midfield I was playing. Like if you look at the team here, Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets over here, all playing with each other week in, week out. Pedro as well. Piqué and Puyol sat behind them, also playing in them. Obviously a few Real Madrid players sneak in there. But on either side of this Champions League, either side of this World Cup, they'd won the Champions League together. Like, as a core team, they might have had this guy here, yeah, but it's not a one man thing. It's Busquets, Xavi and Iniesta are seen as the best trio midfield of all time for a reason. They won 2 Euros together, 2 Champions Leagues and 1 World Cup all in the space of 5 years. You cannot touch it. You cannot touch it. And that was like instilled into the team of these guys were playing with each other week in, week out. So when they came to international level, they knew how they wanted to play. They knew where he was going to be, where he was going to be. And that is so key to how they won this World Cup. Because they were vital parts. Iniesta scoring the winning goal. And on to Germany. And Germany, once again, you find the same outcome. The year before this, right? The year before the World Cup was an all-German final at Wembley in the Champions League as Bayern beat Dortmund 1-0. Thanks to Robin, but look at the team here. Kroos here saying, this is in the final, by the way. The year before, he was at Madrid and he was at Bayern. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Bayern players throughout the whole team. You just knew where the other one was going to be. 2 Real Madrid players in Ozil and Khedira. Obviously close up front, had played at Bayern, so he knew what was going to happen. And then Hummels and Hernandez, this is similar to the Juve trio here. In the defence knew where each other was going to be. The defence knew what the others wanted. Schweinsteiger Muller and Kroos all had that link up from the year before winning the Champions League together, so they knew it was going to be. And then obviously Klose, one of the best finishes you ever see. So Muller got top goal scorer in this World Cup for a reason. Yeah, as I said, they just knew each other. But we looked at 3 very similar examples here of where the teams knew each other. Let's go into a different one. France winning the World Cup. Now this is so different because the France team were from all over. I think if you look at the team, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 11 different teams. None of these players played with each other any time at global. But 2 years before, they'd been at the Euros together. They'd been at the Euros and they lost. They fought through it and they lost. Right? Kante was there, Pogba was there, Griezmann was there, Matuidi was there, Giroud was there, Umtiti and Varane were there, Lloris was there. There's 3 new additions to this team, and that was Pavard, Hernandez and Mbappe. And Mbappe being a very key part, very, very key part. He was just unbelievable, wasn't he? But the thing is, this team had lost together. This team had fought together. They did it on the home soil, and it really inspired them to push on. They improved. That's they improved. Griezmann was still at his top game, but Mbappe could hold the force as well. And working with Giroud, they both worked well off Giroud. The defence, solid. Varane coming off a 4th Champions League, I think it was. Pogba had a big money move the year before. Kante had been on top of the world, winning 2 Premier Leagues in the previous 2 years before this. Matuidi, at the end of a glistening career, winning the league in almost every year. Griezmann, as I said, at the top of his game. Mbappe just starting to be at the top of his game. And then Giroud just being that solid forward up front that they just needed. This is because I said 11 different players. None of them played together week in, week out. So they had to learn who were going to be. They didn't have like favouritism because none of them were playing with each other. And then I think that kind of falls into the same one as this. But this World Cup 2022, this is the one that England should have won. This is the one that England should have won. If you balance it out, we got to the final of Euro 2021. We should have won this World Cup. This should have been our World Cup, but obviously couldn't get past France, who are an unbelievable team. But I don't think we would have got past this guy anyway. This guy was destined to win this World Cup, and that's just how it is. That's just how it is. So we've got to look forward for 3 years' time. 2026 is the next World Cup. But we've got a Euros in between now and then. A Euros where we can do something. So, the question is, what can we do? The last Euros, obviously got to the final. This picture hurts to watch. We lost on the penalties, obviously, as you know. With these two taking a brunt of the blame, but Saka taking so much blame. But, they got through it. Jadon Sancho probably not as much, but Rashford and Saka both playing at the top level for the country still and club. Sancho's got a bit out of it, but whether that's necessarily on him a bit, but that's a story for another day. And the thing is, these players have got to the Champions League together. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 Champions Leagues, right? 6 teams in 4 Champions Leagues over the past 5 years. That's insane, right? And we can keep it up, and we can keep it up because we've got good enough players to be keeping up, and we've got good enough teams in the Champions League to be keeping up, good enough teams in the Europa League to be keeping up. It's about getting these players learning to win. And obviously, the team that knows that most is City. And that's going to be a key part of like how we're going to win the World Cup. Is what City players are playing with each other week in, man. What English players are playing for City. It is a big question of like, where are they playing with each other? Because if you look at this team here, this is a team that got to the final of the Euros. This side of the defence played with each other and this side of the defence played with each other. Solid. That is a solid partnership, and that's why you saw it work so well at the Euros. And you have Rice, Phillips and Mount. And now if you keep this formation here, Phillips is playing with these guys week in, week out. Obviously he's not playing, but he's in training with them. He knows what he's doing. And then Mount's playing with these guys. That is very promising. Saka on this side obviously isn't playing with these guys, but he's playing with Rice. And then Sterling on this side obviously isn't playing with these guys. But he has played with Mount. Has he? He played with Mount last year. But I'd have Rashford here anyway, and Rashford is playing with these guys week in, week out. So that would be a solid side down that side and a solid side down this side, with Rice linking up there, and obviously Kane being that sole man who you can't not have. Like, you could question Kane, you could get in here because he knows this, but obviously who's going to push Kane out of the team? No one's going to push Kane out of the team. Kane's our best player. It does leave out Bellingham, which is, a problem in itself, but that just means you can move Rice over here and then Bellingham into a 10 here to link up with Kane a bit more, being our European boys, just knowing the deal. With Walker and Stones being solid here, Rice working with Saka well, Mount working with Rashford, Maguire and Shaw well, and then just Bellingham and Kane just doing the bits because they're our best players. That's the best way you can put it, really. Like, you might be Bellingham over here and play Foden here because Foden can work well with these guys, and then Foden can work well with Saka maybe, but that's what you got to think about right now is where are these players playing with each other week in, week out. This is the Champions League, right? These are the players that have played in the Champions League over the past 5 years. Stones and Grealish, yes, still playing in England lineup. Trent, yeah. Henderson, that's, sorry for another day, that's for part 2 of whether I think he should be in the England lineup, but he still is in the England lineup. Walker, Foden, Sterling, 3 other players that went to the Champions League final, lost it, but still got there. James, Chilwell and Mason. I think Walker played in this one as well, right? I'm going wrong. James, Chilwell and Mount all win the Champions League together. Good signs. It is good signs. You know how each other play. And then Kane, Trippier, Winks, Dele and Danny Rose all playing together in the Champions League final, lost to Liverpool. And I see Liverpool players here because Trent and Henderson were the only English ones there. So it shows these players are playing with each other, getting to finals together, and that's a good sign, I guess. But now it's time to look at who's playing with each other week in, week out, and where. Obviously, this is City. You have Foden, Grealish, Walker, Stones and Phillips, as I've mentioned. So you could play Grealish on the right and have a real good link up on that right side of, or Foden on that right side. And then you got Walker and Stones, who obviously know each other, have Phillips in midfield, and then have Grealish and Foden on that right side. Probably not the best position that they play, but it helps with that link up. It helps with the connection, to know where they're going to be. It works. And as I said, on this other side, Maguire, Mount, Shaw and Rashford, they know where each other's going to be, and that is key. That is key. Saka, Rice, White and Ramsdale. I saw people talking about Saka and White working well together, but obviously Walker works better in the team. It's hard to leave Saka out, but it's about having these connections, and you've got to think about the connections that are going to be working well with each other, working with each other week in, week out. They're going to know it, and these guys won the Champions League together. These guys won the treble together. Sorry, my nose keeps getting blocked here whilst I'm speaking. Anyway, on to Chelsea. This is more of a future look at here, because look at the English depth Chelsea have. That's nice to see, especially when it's young players as well. James, Chilwell, Colwill, Gallagher, Sterling, Chukwuemeka, Palmer and Madueke. None of them are crossing over positions. Sterling probably won't be in the lineup in coming years. Left wing, right wing, midfield and 3 defenders. If Poch can get this Chelsea team running, this Chelsea team could be a very key part to England's future in the future. And then Trippier, Longstaff, Willock, Wilson and Pope. I think Newcastle could be a big part of how England play in the future as well. You're going to develop a bit more, they're just going to bring in these bigger players, but I feel like the English nationality is instilled into Newcastle in the way they want to play, which is nice to see. But now I have to look at the good players that aren't playing with players week in, week out. Kane being the biggest one, playing in Germany. I quite like playing in Germany, but will the Germans get a bit too used to him? It's a problem. Bellingham playing in Spain, learning his trade over there and developing it so well. He's top scorer in the league right now. Kane's top scorer in Bundesliga right now. It's the English lads are doing it well, and Watkins, he could chase him down. Wilson, they could be chasing down in the Premier League. Obviously, Haaland's a bit of a robot, but we'll leave that. Trent, no one else from the England lineup is getting into that Liverpool squad right now. Like, no one else in the Liverpool squad is English, like, getting into the England squad, really. Trent, Maddison at Spurs, who else is pushing for it other than Maddison at Spurs right now? No one. Eze and Guehi, they do play together but not near each other. So that's what I'm saying. Watkins on his own. I mean, Ezri Konsa's now got into the England squad, but it's not the same type of link-up that we're looking for here. Pickford on his own, week in, week out. Gibbs White and Cameron Archer. All playing on their own, week in, week out. And there's some players here for the future, like Eze, Gibbs White, Archer, Guehi, even Maddison, and definitely Bellingham. Like, we cannot miss out on losing Bellingham here. We need to make sure that he is primed and ready no matter what. He can't just be delve into stardom and lose this sight of England. But that is part one. That is part one of just the talking. And in the next video, we're going to talk about who should be getting in the England team. And I feel like it's a big question that goes around every time Gareth Southgate brings out the squad. And it is a big question that needs to be asked, because it's like, why are these players getting picked? Especially like Henderson. You know what, I'm not going to get into it now. That's for the next video. We're going to get into the next video. I do hope you enjoyed this video of just looking at how other teams have won the World Cup and how they work together and how England can work together to win the next World Cup. But the next video will be talking about who will be getting into the squad and who should be getting into the squad. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.